it says go. We live. We live, son.
What?
No, I listen. It doesn't matter. This is our show.
That's right.
So
So I think what I would tell you for the past years, I've been saying, let's do a podcast.
I know.
We talk so much that like that's a podcast in itself, right? The conversations we have. And I think we drop gold all the time.
No, listen, our conversations are podcasts.
For sure.
And I think too. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
You want me to go?
Yes, sir.
All right. I think too that the best way to record information, like for example, like as long as we've known each other, how much stuff we've done in just say the business space, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just trying to be entrepreneurs, trying to grow your business, trying to have the best life that you possibly can have for yourself and your family. Like, what would we do? Write a book? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the best way to do it. So, because if we just get on here and just have conversations, it's just like after, let's say, a year, there's like a wealth of information for anybody who wants to find it. And if you think about if 100 people listen to our stuff, right? 100 people, and then those people just learn from what we've said, or they realize, oh, I'm not alone. Other people think like that, and those people become successful in whatever that means for them. Think about how impactful that is. You know, sometimes I think we think about just numbers, like I want to have 1 million downloads, and like that's okay, but imagine like changing other people's lives. So I think that it's worth doing, but all the other stuff can also happen too. We could blow up.
Listen, yeah, for sure. I tell my kids all the time. I said, listen, we learn through mistakes, right?
Yeah.
But they don't got to be ours. And the thing about what I see on the internet is that oftentimes it's the highlight reel. It's like all the things that are going good.
Yeah.
But clearly, everybody faces challenges. And if we pay for coaching, we pay for these things so that we can shortcut our process to success, so that we know what to do and what I pay for.
You pay for coaching and you tell me all the stuff.
Yeah, there it is. But ultimately, it's just because I need someone to download the information to me. So it's like I download it to you. So I guess all the coaching that I pay for, we're gonna learn it here. I pay I'm like afraid to even say the number, but let's just say it's over $30,000 in coaching per year. It's like way over that, but all that information can be here, right? Of what I learned. I've learned some crazy stuff even just recently.
This is a coaching. Yeah. This can be a coaching program for people.
Yeah.
Just think about just think about this, right? Let's just do an inventory of knowledge and experience. I learned this thing. It's called tacit versus explicit knowledge. Okay. Explicit knowledge is knowledge that you can explain, and it's in an organized manner. For example, here are the 3 steps to come up with a headline, right? But then tacit knowledge is like, well, how do you come up with a headline? And you're like, well, you just got to think about it's all this stuff. You can't put it in an organized framework. And that comes from experience. So that's why when you might be able to write a headline, I'm like, man, your headlines are amazing. How do you do it? And you're like, man, I just do it. And I think that's why coaching's good, is because you're taking this stuff that you kind of already know, and you're meeting with somebody who figured out a way to put it in a framework, and then they're telling you, and you're like, oh, I knew that. Oh, I knew that. But you never put it in an explicit manner. So I think that's kind of what this could be for a lot of people, is if we inventory our knowledge and our experience. So you've been an entrepreneur longer than me, but we've been entrepreneurs together for at least 12 years, where we've known each other doing things. Think about all that information that you have, that I have, that we might not even fully even have made it explicit. So we could talk about the tacit stuff and try to figure out a way to like pull it out, which a lot of times is our conversations. It's like you'll ask me a question and I'll tell you my thoughts, and then or I'll ask your question, you'll tell me your thoughts. But then what we're basically doing is taking stuff that we kind of know and we're organizing it. It's weird because I'm looking at myself. So when I go this way, it goes this way. It's like, let me not do that no more. But you hear what I'm saying about just taking the information we have in our head and being able to like put it in a explicit way where people can say, oh, at the end of that episode, they were kind of doing a lot of talking, but at the end, by the end, they put it in a framework that now I can understand. And I think that I'm excited for that. That's pretty much what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Well, I think one thing that, like, going off of what you're saying, is that one thing that I've learned is when I try to explain something that I learned, I have to go deeper into my brain to say, okay, I learned this thing, but how do I explain it in a way that someone who has no idea what I'm talking about can understand it, which gives me deeper knowledge, because like I have to dissect it even further. It's like, oh, it's just one thing. So I think that's always important. I always try to, and I think that's why we talk so much. And that's a good thing for this, is because like, all right, I just learned this thing. And now like I have to even learn it deeper, I have to explain it to somebody so I can have a better understanding of it.
Yeah.
So
no, absolutely.
Yeah, that's what that could be.
You know what's so funny? I know this is off the topic.
There is no topic.
Yeah, you're right. But I'm glad we're using StreamYard, because this already looks better than what Zoom does.
Yeah.
Zoom is like, we're gonna make stuff look just horrible on purpose. Like Zoom's only good for meetings, right? Like, but this is because I'm looking at what it's looking like. I'm looking at these panels in the back. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's gonna be fun. So
we're using StreamYard. Yeah, let's tell everybody. So like, we're using StreamYard for a few reasons. One, its capabilities of being able to stream multi-platforms live at once, right? So we know that we recognize that that's important, because the algorithms or whatever happens inside of the social networks, they like live content. So it gets like this higher priority. So StreamYard gives us that ability to go live in multiple platforms.
Oh yeah, but you ain't added to mine.
I didn't know how to. I think you have to do it. Yeah.
I have to.
Can you add it now?
I just did.
There you go.
I just did. Okay, but we're learning.
This is it.
Yeah.
And you're gonna make it look really nice, because you're gonna know like the capabilities of it.
But I cut you off. You were talking about the reasons why we use StreamYard.
Oh, well, yeah. So that's a piece of it. The ability to like customize the backgrounds, and as you share your screen, it can drop into being very specific with your branding.
Yeah.
Right. And I like that piece of it. Zoom is just two people talking, black screen. And maybe that's enough, but I think branding, when if you want to talk about branding, right? I've been telling people like, hey, you want to learn how to charge more money like instantly, you just have to look nicer.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you look nicer and automatically you're live.
Yeah, my Twitch.
Boom. But yeah, just by looking nicer, you automatically are perceived as higher value.
It's true.
Rather than, you know what I'm saying? So us being on a podcast with the graphics in the background and it looks all nice and stuff, whatever it's going to look like is going to look way better than someone scrolling and just seeing two people talking. You're
100% right. And the added benefit of what you just said is StreamYard, and this is not to plug StreamYard. This is just, hey, this is the valuable information for somebody who's thinking the same way we're thinking, right? Maybe I don't have the time. You say what? You say what?
I said maybe we'll drop an affiliate link.
Oh yeah, hey, I'm not gonna lie though, because let's just be honest. Let's build in real time. Me and you should create a joint affiliate account, and whatever we earn, we just split down the middle, man.
Oh my gosh, I like it because we're going to be talking about all this stuff we're using.
I already know all the stuff that we're going to be talking. I can just feel it in my brain, like, oh my gosh, you're talking about that. It's unlimited content. Like, basically, we have unlimited content, and I'm in this space now. I just turned 40 yesterday.
That's right. Happy birthday.
Thank you. And the only reason I say that is because I feel like I've completed an era. And the era I'm in now is I feel like I have everything I need in order to do whatever I need to do in the future. Like, I don't really need a lot more. Yes, you're always going to learn new things. You're always going to, and this is, I know you're going to laugh at this, but I don't need any new courses. I don't need any new books, even though I read a book yesterday that was actually really good. That was new. But my point is that now I want to start sharing information, right? So I think that this is going to be a fulfilling project me and you're doing. And like you said, you've been saying, let's do a podcast, and always flake out. I think now is going to be good because I'm in a space where I want to do it, not just for the success. And then we can reap the benefits, as we build something fun. But going back to the whole thing about, you said the aesthetics and all the stuff that you can do with this. The biggest problem for me is that I don't have the time to do high production stuff anymore. Like, I can't be I would need like a producer. I would need all these other people because I'm too busy to do those type of things. So it's great that StreamYard allows you to like kind of set it up one time, and then you just look like you produced like a 5-person team produced show, and it was just two busy entrepreneurs, So
I think that's what the, if you want to call it the journey or the path that I'm on right now, is how to be more efficient.
Yeah.
Right. And not waste a lot of time, and do like you say, extra courses. Like, I mean, you can get into a learning path where you'll never be done.
Yeah.
So I run an ads agency, right? So people come to me and they're like, oh, I just want to do this one little thing. Can you show me how to do it? And it's like, man, going down, you really want to go down this path, because it's like a rabbit hole of learning on top of learning. And then something changes in the algorithm, or Facebook backend looks different, and then you got to learn it again. And it's like they added this new feature. So yeah, all that is crazy.
That reminds me of the Dunning-Kruger effect. Where it's like, I guess this is the place to get nerdy and philosophical, but basically the Dunning-Kruger effect, for anybody who's gonna, as soon as I explain, they're gonna be like, oh, I see this all the time. It's basically like it's about competence levels, right? So if we Warren Buffett had this, this philosophy of, your circle of competence, right? So there's a circle, everything that that you're comfortable in. You heard people like, what's in your wheelhouse, all that type of stuff. Hey, in this circle, I'm a killer in this circle. I know exactly what I'm doing. And the closer you get to the edge of the border of that circle, you start going into uncharted territory. Now you got to start getting coaches and learning and YouTube University and reading books. And you start trial and error. And then once you get outside of that, you are in a place where you do not know what you're doing. Okay. And there are people who are habitual circle of competence line steppers. They're nonstop stepping over the line. And what it is, the Dunning-Kruger, what it is you've ran ads, you've run an agency. So in your mind, when you were going down this journey yourself, you were basically saying, oh, this is going to be easy. And then you hit roadblock after roadblock after roadblock after roadblock. So you yourself now, as a master of this running ads and running an agency, you've hit so many roadblocks that that if I think something's easy, there's always something lurking around the corner. And you know all the pitfalls, right? A person who doesn't know the pitfalls, right? Let's just take a jungle, okay? And somebody's like, the jungle's only 3 miles wide. Okay, but they don't know there's tigers, snakes. They don't know all the different things in the jungle. Okay, so they're like, only 3 miles. That's easy. So you're like, why are these people who watch one YouTube video on ads, right, not realizing that the person that made that video on how to do a YouTube ad is trying to get clicks? So they're not going to make a video that's hard. They're going to make a video that looks easy because they have their goals with their YouTube channel. So you're like, oh yeah, so I just watched a video on ads. I'm gonna set our ads up tonight, not knowing that there's a tiger, there's a snake, and what happens is that they think they're more competent than they are because they don't know the pitfalls. So that's why when you ask a master about how good are you at ads, they're like, yeah, I'm pretty good. They always downplay their skill set because they are used to, there's always a pitfall around the corner that I've had to master. And they don't realize how good they are because they had to fight the tiger and they had to fight the snake. And they were like, dang, but I didn't even know there was a snake there. Dang, I missed the tiger too. But they don't realize they got past that. So that's why you have all these people who are overly confident in the stuff because there's a whole bucket of pitfalls that they don't even see. All they see is the potential success that they can have. And that's why you have clients who are like, hey, I don't want to pay you that anymore. I want to do it myself. And it's like, bro, if you only knew what you were getting yourself into.
Oh my gosh, I just had a client like that.
And let me just wrap the Dunning-Kruger real quick because it was named after the two scientists who came up with this whole thing. So it's just basically the concept of an amateur is always going to feel like they're better than they really are because they don't see the pitfalls. All they see is the success. And the master is going to downplay his skill set and mastery because he's gone through, so he or she has gone through so much to get to the mastery where they've gone through a battle, right? So at the end of a battle, who's like, oh yeah, I'm a good soldier. You're like, I'm just so glad I got through it, but you are a master. So
I like it.
Yeah.
That reminds me of one thing that, and I don't know, it's something like Dunning-Kruger where there's like a name to it, but I have no idea what it is.
But Dunning-Kruger also lost all our viewers, by the way. So, but it's okay.
He's like, who is that guy? No, but he said like, he's saying, hey, when you first start out, you know nothing. And then you get to this plateau, you learn. And then you get a plateau where you're like, oh my gosh, I know it all now. And then all of a sudden something happens where you learn something new and it's like, oh my gosh, I know nothing.
Yeah, and that's it.
You go right back up and say, oh, I know so much. And then like something happens like, oh my gosh, I don't know jack. Yeah, I thought I knew what it was. So
that's exactly what it is.
And maybe that's what the Dunning-Kruger was. Just different ways of looking at
it.
Well,
no, I mean, exactly. It's you just explain the actual experience people have. And I think that if this podcast or whatever we are creating, I don't know what you call stuff no more, because when I think of podcast, I think of like audio, but it's like audio, it's gonna be fucking everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Can we cuss?
Yeah, listen, this is raw, right? Isn't it raw?
Listen, I just want to be me. But
that's it.
I just think that like people can benefit from me and your conversations because these are the type of conversations we have on the phone where you call me and then it's all of a sudden we talk for like an hour. I'm like, dang. Yeah. And then one of us got to make up that we have a meeting.
Yeah. I gotta go in 2 minutes. I do my schedule, man. Actually, I've been so good. I hired somebody and she is amazing, man. She has like literally opened my schedule. And with that being said, now I feel like I can do so much more. Like I'm starting like certifications. I'm getting recertified in Google. It's like I hired this girl, man. She's like saved my life. Because if they always say like, are you working what? Don't work in your business, work on your business.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel like now I'm working on my business.
Yeah.
And it's like so much better. And because of that, I brought on more clients. All my clients are getting results now. So it's like, it feels good that everyone's happy. Like, I'm like, thank you. But from what you said earlier, I had a client that was just that. He was like, I'm gonna try to do it on my own. I had 2 clients, and literally 1 month later, one guy calls me and he's like, I don't know what's going on in my ad account. Can you look at it? And we go inside of it, and I'm like, dude, man, you're running these ads and it's set up wrong, and you're just you're spending $400 a day. I'm like, you're literally just blowing money because of how the campaign is set up. We go deeper into that another day, and it's like, look at that, you got rid of me to hire someone cheaper, and now it's costing you even more because screwed up the algorithm. So now it has to relearn because it's going off of what you set it up now, and it's shit. And yeah.
Well, so that leads me down a path of this feeling that me and you've been talking about, that, and I get it. It's like, I actually have to go back down to agency route because I really don't like client work, and not because I don't like I don't like people. I just like freedom at this point. And the one thing I realize about client work is you're always having to convince somebody. That's really what it is. And I think it comes down to either we're just not getting, our marketing, we haven't leveled down the actual type of person. We're not qualifying leads right. I get it. It's hard to say no to money, but it has nothing to do with the client. I think it has to do with the process that you have to create to get the perfect clients. And that's challenging, but it's easier to sell a service than to sell a product. Right. So it's like a trade-off, because it's like, if somebody doesn't know how to do something and you can do it, well, you could charge them $15,000 to do that thing. But if you have like a product that's like they're going to use to do it themselves, it's like, well, that's why website builders are only like $25 a month. But to somebody to build your website could be $25,000. So I just feel like it's hard to get away from the agency or service-based product, or the service-based business, because you can generate a lot of money. And it seems like you are building a team that's still kind of making it where you can work on the business and not in the business. So like, I'm building software companies, and I'm messing around with AI and all this stuff, and I'm still realizing that, like, I got to sell a lot of these things to make it worth it. So then to subsidize that, I got to do some agency stuff or some service type stuff, right? So, but I keep coming back to this podcast, where one of the things I was going to do, and I really want to do, is I love consulting, right? I like just general marketing consulting, like
business intensive.
Yeah, I love that. I love that stuff. And I just kind of feel like I was going to start something, but I don't think I need to now, because this podcast, like, now that I'm in it, doing it with you, and it's only our first episode, but I know what me and you know in our heads. And I know how consistent you are. And I'm a little bit flaky, but I think I'm in a space to be consistent with you in this thing we're building, where I think that this can generate money for us. And I don't mean like in a sense of, people are listening to this. We're business people. They're gonna understand, like, hey, you guys are trying to like make money off everything you do. But I think that I think this could be a volume thing where we build it up. It could be affiliate stuff. We're giving great information. We're saving people time, money, headache. We're telling people what the pitfalls are. We might create a Patreon or something. We might, what I'm saying? Like, I see this being able to do that type of stuff, do those type of numbers. And that's exciting because I get to do it with you. And I think we've been looking for something to do together. So I'm excited for this.
All right. So you heard it from Demetrius. If I'm ever on here by myself, it's because he got flaky. I'm committed.
Yeah.
I'm committed. It might be me and somebody else. I might be like, hey, this week we got a guest. Who knows where Demetrius went?
Yeah. No, listen, I think StreamYard makes it easy. Can I get on from my phone?
I'm sure you can.
Because you text me the link and you texted to me, but I clicked on it on my computer. But it said it's a web-based link. And I know there's another company that I was using where you can get on from the browser of your phone. So I would feel like they would have to do it. That's dope. Because I'm gonna tell you what you should do one day. You should go to Disney and stream live from Disney. That would be dope. Yes. So we should once this is done, let's just test that.
Yeah.
Real quick. Once we're done with this. But did you want to talk about our origin story?
Yeah, I mean, or we could save it for the next one. We've been on for 25 minutes. I don't know how long. Yeah, I think that's good. I think, I think for me, sometimes the reason why I don't listen to podcasts is because my drives are, I mean, they're a little bit longer now that I'm in Florida, but 20 to 30 minutes, and I can listen to a whole podcast. But sometimes if I see a podcast that's long, I'm like, I'm not even gonna finish it. I'm gonna be upset. Like, I don't know how you listen to podcasts, but that's how I gotta complete them.
Me too, but I listen to long ones. I just break them up over how long it may take me a week to finish one episode. But I have an idea for that.
Interesting.
This is how I think we potentially could do our podcast. So it's the same, it's just it's done differently. So say this episode, right? And that's why I know you be having a time frame, and I have a time frame, but if we can get on and do like at least an hour, when not every time. We come on sometimes do 15 minutes, but if we could say we do an hour, hypothetically, we do an hour long episode. I think you should chop up the audio just like you would chop up the clips. So when we're talking about the Dunning-Kruger, we would make a clip out of that. The Dunning-Kruger.
Yeah.
But do that for the audio. So why can't you have 15-minute, 20-minute, 7-minute, 8-minute podcast episodes? You just have more episodes. But the benefit is the person knows exactly what they're getting themselves into. That's another reason why people don't click on podcast episodes, because they're like, you're trying to like come up with a title that explains everything you talked about in the episode, and then it's an hour long. It's like, well, what if somebody just wants to know the Dunning-Kruger? So it's just like we could come up with better headlines for individual clips. And the way podcast players work, you're just going to go to the next episode. And we just make sure we don't have long ass intros. Just no intro. Let's just be, the podcast just starts. So people, it's like listening to an album. You just go to the next song. There's no like new intro, like, hey, I'm Kanye, by the way, guys. I know you listened to the last song, but just so you know, I'm Kanye West. I'm a producer. Like, they're not explaining the song. It just goes right into the song. So if we do that, I think it solves that problem. And I've never had an opportunity to do it. It just was a theory, What you think? Because one of them would be origin story. That's all. It would just be an origin story, but it wouldn't have the Dunning-Kruger too and all that stuff in it.
Got it. So here's the question, right? We talk about being efficient. We choose StreamYard because we don't got to edit. We don't got to do all this crazy stuff. So looking at a podcast that's already 30 minutes in.
Yeah.
Who's going to listen to a podcast?
I'm going to tell you who's going to listen to it. Wait, go ahead. Say what you're going to say.
No, I'm saying for us to say, all right, that's where Dunning-Kruger starts, and that's where Dunning-Kruger ends. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you be efficient? Because it's all about efficiency.
You're right. I'm gonna tell you, and this might tell on myself a little bit, but I record a lot of things. I like, if you go to my Instagram, I put out 20-minute videos. No one watches them, but I put out 20-minute videos. I do it a lot. I make private podcasts for people. So like, my brother was like asking me some questions. I just made an audio message for him, and I just send it as a voice memo. So I listen to everyone.
You listen to it.
I listen to my own stuff.
Oh, I got you.
I listen to it to be like, oh yeah, I do know
I
what
like
I'm talking
that.
about. I do. So what I know that's what I'm trying to say. But what I'm trying to say is that I will listen. Just so you know, I will listen to this whole episode.
Okay.
Like, I can't not do it. I would listen to it. So I feel like, since I would do that anyway, I'll just come up with the time.
So I wonder if because there's an option in here in StreamYard that says cut this up into mini reels. I didn't click that option because I didn't know what it did.
Yeah.
But maybe this, because like when this is done, you're going to be able to see this inside of there.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a way to like, hey, end it here, start a new one, like almost like video editing.
Yeah.
But to make it easy again, because you don't want to take this into Premiere and no, it has to be efficient. This whole podcast is about truly making our lives better. Not adding more work.
I'll pay a little somebody to do it. You know what I'm saying? If it needed to be done. Yeah. The only reason I say that is I agree 100% with efficiency. So we got to come up with a system. We got to figure out what StreamYard can do and can't do. But I do think that I'm reading this. Well, I actually finished the book yesterday. And when I mean read, I listened to the audiobook. It's called Smart Brevity. And brevity just basically means saying more with less. And it talks about how when you give a lot of information or you're doing a lot of talking and all that type of stuff, it's a fear. When you put so much information on your website, on your homepage, when you put so much in the email, it's because it's a fear. And I was like, is it really? Because I'm long-winded. If you go to some of the websites I'm working on right now, I have to strip them down so many times because I just give you so much information, even though I know that that's a no-no. And what brevity basically means is that, hey, I'm going to give you the points that you need to make the decision if you want to go deeper, right? So in the whole fear part is because you don't believe that the person's going to be able to make that decision themselves. So you try to give them everything. And that's how I was like, that is how I feel sometimes. So when we got to realize that we're in a information rich, time deprived society. And if you can make it easier for someone to know exactly what they're getting themselves into, it's one of the reasons I don't answer phone calls sometimes. I don't answer phone calls, and then somebody will text me and say, hey, I want to ask you about that basketball game. Okay, cool. I know what I'm getting myself into. I call them back. Oh, that's tough. But if I answered a random call from my mom or my dad and I love them, I have no idea what I'm getting myself into. I don't know how much my brain's going to work. They're going to be asked. I got to recall dates and history and all this stuff. And we're having this party next week. Can you guys come? I'm not figuring out, can we come? I'm thinking about, I ain't ready for that right now because I'm already working on something else. So I agree with the efficiency part, but I do think it's super important to be able to give our information in bite-sized chunks that is valuable for people. So I think I'll be willing to figure that out. You could put that on my plate.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I like all of that.
Yeah,
because it's easier to digest.
And
like you said, it's specific to the point. They know what they're getting, and ultimately, at times, we might be all over the place in a podcast, right? We're talking about StreamYard, we're talking about Dunning-Kruger, we're talking about agency, we're talking about ads. Like, it could be all over the place. So maybe that is the thing. But now remember, this does go live, so I guess the live portion is going to be the raw, unedited version.
There are people who will listen to that.
Yeah, for sure.
And I even think like when I think about the feed, I just think about Spotify, right? Even though it'll be everywhere podcasts are available. I think about episode 17 and the date that it came out or whatever, and like a little title. Then after episode 17, it'll just be the individual clips under it. And then the next episode 18. So it's like for the people who are like, nah, I like you guys, I'm gonna listen to the whole thing. I'm gonna just do that, which I do with Joe Rogan. I have no idea what Joe Rogan's talking about. There's a couple like My First Million podcasts I told you about. I don't know what they're talking about in the episode. I listen to the whole thing because I like their podcast. Like I trust them at this point. So as we win people's trust, people are gonna be like, yeah, I'm gonna just listen to the whole thing. So I like the long form part because I do think that we're entertaining. Like I listen to some podcasts I can't listen to no more because they're too structured. Like the people are they're like trying to present information to me in the best way possible. They don't want to look stupid. I don't mind looking stupid. I don't mind sounding dumb. I don't mind you saying, hey, bro, you're talking too much. You're right. Go ahead. You go. You know what I'm saying? I don't mind that. And
when did this become the Demetrius podcast?
We don't want to become the Demetrius podcast.
But it's so funny, as this conversation, thinking about with some of the things you said, we do take two different approaches to everything, right? Like we're like the yin and yang.
Yeah.
So it's good to see both perspectives of like, and you take that perspective and say, okay, I'll take a little bit of that, I'll take a little bit of that, and that's how it works for me.
Yeah.
You know, and they make it their own and how it works for them.
I can't believe we're doing this.
It's about time, man. I've been asking you for years, man.
Also, too, we wouldn't have even did it today if you didn't like kind of like, let's do it Friday.
Yeah.
So
listen, Friday's my chill day. I go hard during the week, and then Friday I do stuff that I kind of want to do. So I create content.
Mine's the opposite.
Oh, I can't do
Monday's
that.
my chill day. Friday's my balls to the wall day.
Again, different perspectives. I like total opposites.
All right, so why Friday and not Monday? And I'll tell you why Monday for me, but I'm curious, why Friday for you?
Well, I'll tell you why Monday I go hard is because I need a good kickoff to the week. So I've already relaxed Saturday and Sunday. I'm still working Friday, but it's
yeah. I know what you mean.
It's low key.
Yeah.
But Saturday, Sunday, by Sunday night, I'm like itching.
Okay.
To do something.
I'm the opposite. So I get the Sunday night anxiety. Because my client,
because there's still reason for that.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. It is probably like you said, Monday you want to get started. I think that's how everyone else is. So like I'm still coming off Sunday, like feeling all good and relaxed. And then Monday comes and it's like everyone's emailing me, everyone like they ready to go. So I basically just told all my clients that Monday is my off day. And what I do is I just catch up on stuff. So it's a light day. So they're like emailing me and they're like, yeah, I know you're off today just for when you come back. But it's like this, it's not a pressure. It's not like I have to like do anything that day. I could just, okay, cool. I'll get that ready for tomorrow or Wednesday or whatever. So, but I think it's mental illness for me. So
yeah. Well, funny enough, my Mondays were always slammed with meetings and I switched that to Tuesday.
Yeah.
And it's like it has helped so much because sometimes I want to get things going, but I would be so overwhelmed with meeting after meeting. And a lot of times they're dumping on me, right? So they're like, oh, this doesn't work, that's broken, this. I'm like, oh my God. And then like I stopped that. So that has helped me so much is moving. Yeah. I have no meetings on Monday, but I'm still getting things done, which again kicks me off for the whole week. I like it. I love it.
No, I get it. Yeah.
So if that's the case, if we're going for an hour, I might as well tell you the origin story.
Oh yes, I thought you were trying to end it. I'm like, I could go for an hour.
Let's go. You go.
We got 37 minutes. Go. Tell us. Start it off.
All right. So I would, and I try to, I hope I never come off. I'm not even gonna say cocky, but I'm gonna try to be humble. But let's just say I helped you kick off an entrepreneur career, right?
Can I give you some liberty right now?
Go ahead.
Be totally honest. You already know how I know who I am. Okay.
Yeah.
So to be honest, tell it all. Like you ain't gonna offend me, but yes, you're correct. You help me kick it off.
Okay. Yeah. And I guess I didn't want to take credit for any of your stuff, but I guess my journey starts a little bit before yours, and then we like collide.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll go back to where I was. So my journey starts, I'm in California. My friend calls me and he's like, hey, let's play poker. And I don't like to gamble. I never played poker in my life back then. Like, he's a little risky. And he's like, hey, let's do this. I'm a broke college student, got no money. He's like, get $100. We'll stay on the phone. We're going to play poker online, da-da-da-da. I play poker. I win $500 that night. And like, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's money in poker, right? Like, so I go to the store. The next night, what happened, the next night I try to play again to try to win another 500. I end up losing like 200. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I only got $200 left. I said, but there's money in the game. So I went to the store, bought all the books I could find and started studying poker. I say all this because poker gave me the ability to have extra money because like, I mean, there's some weeks I would clock 3, 4, 5,000 and you save some of it to play poker, but then it's like, okay, what do I do with all this extra money? And because it came in swarms, it was like, oh, I could do something. And I've tried, e-commerce before there was even e-commerce, right?
Yeah.
Like I was trying all the selling watches. I still got watches that I have that I was trying to sell watches. I try to sell, poker stuff. I try to sell all these things, but poker was steady with a steady income. And poker opened a lot of doors for me as you meet everybody at the table, right? You meet lawyers, you meet cops, you meet drug dealers, just like it's either the best of the best and the worst of the worst coming to one table. So I won a big tournament, had all this extra money. And before I won that tournament, my daughter went to school and she was like, oh, parent teacher day, da 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 da. And I remember her coming back to me and she was like 5. She's 21 now, right? So she was 5 at the time. Oh, I told them you played poker. And she was so proud of me, right? Of playing poker and having money and doing all this stuff. And I remembered feeling like dirt, like shit. Like, because I was like, why? One, poker didn't feel like gambling to me, but my parents made me feel like it, right?
Yeah,
My parents
yeah.
like, wow, you're gambling.
Old school.
Yeah, you got a problem.
Yeah,
And really, I'm
yeah.
playing strategy, which is funny of how now poker relates, because I've never told a lot. I would never tell anybody I play poker for a living. I always kept my mouth shut.
Yeah.
Because there is a little stigma to it. They're like,
yeah.
It is what it is. So when my daughter said that, I felt like crap, reminded me of my parents telling me like, you got an issue, you're gambling, da 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 da. I win this tournament. I meet this guy named Panini Joe, right? Like poker games are crazy. Like you got Dollar Bill, you got Panini Joe, you got, all these people with nicknames. And Panini Joe owned some restaurants, Panini's in Cleveland, right? He owned like 3, had some in Columbus. And he's like, hey, do you want to get in on a restaurant business? Right? See how it all connects? Yeah. So I'm like, yes. I was like, yeah, man, of course, man. I'm trying to get out of this. And the minute we signed the lease, I didn't touch cards from that day up until maybe a year ago.
I want to say one thing real quick.
Go ahead.
Because number one is I remember this because this is getting the part where I first started seeing you. Okay.
Yeah.
But I remember the poker stuff was a lot bigger than you saying it. When I first met with, I don't know if you're not saying it on purpose, but like you was doing some poker stuff. Like you was like going to Vegas. You was taking people to Vegas. Like you don't got to go deep in it, but you kind of was downplaying it. Like you can't be doing that.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm kind of like glazing over it.
But you don't got to go to details, but just you was doing bigger. Listen, I'm gonna say it. When I met you, you had like this little safe. You have all these watches in it. Do you remember that? Do you still have those watches?
Yeah. Yeah. I still have those watches. They're expensive as hell.
I know. That's right. Look, we can go on to the restaurant now. You signed a lease and you stopped playing poker, but you was doing it big, man.
Funny enough, like you say, the master downplays like his abilities, whereas like an amateur is gonna be like, oh, I'm the best. Funny enough, like even recently, people who remember me from back in the day, I kind of talk to here and there, and they're like, dude, you were the best poker player I know. And I'm like, really? The best? Like, I guess. And I won all the time. That was the thing. Like, I never, and it comes to like where I'm a position now, why I like ads. It's like, there's a strategy to all of this. It's not, I don't want to gamble. I'm trying to put my money in the best place so I can get the best ROI. And
you know why I think poker players are smarter than chess players? And I understand chess, you're playing one person at a time. So your strategy, you got to beat one person. And I know there's like math, there's math in poker too, but my whole point is that I just think that chess is probably an older game, it's more prestigious. So it gets like this chess masters and all this stuff. Poker, you got to do strategy against multiple people at the same time. So to me, it's like when I watch one of those samurai movies and the dude's fighting one guy or samurais fighting 6 or 7 ninjas. Like that's why I respect poker players a little bit more than chess players, because of that strategy element. And also, like, the other part isn't just strategy. You're reading humans. You're predicting how humans are going to act. So, but yeah, but get back to the story of, you said you signed a lease, Panini Joe.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess
into.
going, funny enough, like we had a conversation 6 months ago, maybe a year, but you said no one can do what you do because of the experience that you've had. No one's gonna have the exact same experience you have, whether it been playing poker, like you're saying, reading people, whether it's the small businesses that you had that failed. Like no one's gonna have the same exact experience as you, so you can never really find a true replacement for yourself of someone who's gonna be just as good as you.
Yeah, it's
because
true.
of that.
Yeah.
So you say the reading people, I'm going to say this about it, because maybe this has some effect of where learning stuff, right? So I was so deep into poker that I actually went and took this class and got certified by this guy who would interrogate like terrorists and would use their body language to understand if they're lying or not lying, right? So I learned that type of thing so I can see. Funny enough, I just told my daughter this last week. She's like, Dad, so tell me a little bit about it. I said, all right, I'm gonna give you one hint and that's it. I said, but people, if they like something, they lean into it.
Yeah.
Right. So if I'm at the poker table and I see someone, just lean in just even a little bit, then I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
They like this. And I have to put the answers in my head of like, why? So I told her as if people don't like something, they tend to lean back. So it could be something very subtle, but it's like you're paying attention to that.
Absolutely. My uncle told me that when I was younger about girls. If you know a girl likes you, if she's facing you and kind of leaning into the conversation, she at least feels comfortable with you. If she's kind of like got her body to the side it's like, man, bro, just take the cue. She don't want to talk to you. Just leave.
Hey, right? For all aspects of life.
Yeah.
All right. I feel like I was going somewhere with that, but I lost my spot.
My bad.
No, it's not your fault. It'll come back. All right. So I wanted to get out of poker, right? Because I didn't know if it was sustainable. I couldn't figure that part out of it. The problem was, poker, you play till 6 a.m, right? You start at 9 o'clock at night, at 6 a.m, I'm sleeping all day. And then like I got a little bit of time, I got to get to the next poker game. And it was a lot. It was that type of lifestyle. And I guess you kind of said it right? I was going to Vegas every 3 months. I was bringing all my friends. Like it felt like a rock star life. I met Kim Kardashian.
Yeah,
right. Like we danced at the club.
Yeah,
right. Like that type of lifestyle of like being in it.
Yeah,
and whatever that looks like. But I wanted out of it. At least at that moment. And a restaurant, a business, a legit business sounded so sexy. And that's another thing, right? People sometimes people want to be entrepreneurs just to say that they own a business, whether it's profitable or not. But like that's what it was. It was like, hey, like I'm gonna be a restaurant owner. I'm not a poker player no more. I'm gonna be a restaurant owner. And we signed a lease at this mall, North Olmsted, Great Northern Mall. And
I was a manager at PacSun at the time.
Yeah, you were a manager, and that's weird because I remember. Yeah, I have no style. I'm not good at style. I'm not good at none of that, man. Like you make fun of me for shopping at Kohl's, which I stopped. I stopped shopping at Kohl's because of you. Anyways, whatever. I don't know. But PacSun at the time was hot, right? It had all the cool T-shirts. It was style. I like the California feel, So so I would be at the restaurant and I would just walk in, and I feel like I may even been dressed up, right? Or the guy, and I'd be coming in like, all right, I'm gonna buy these jeans and buy this shirt, buy clothes from PacSun. And that's not necessarily where we met. That's where we interacted.
Exactly.
it's not like we became friends then, right?
No.
So that was weird.
I knew you was a person that like owned a restaurant. So like when you came in, it was like, oh, he's a mall person just like me. Not like saying like you're an employee, but you're like you're part of the mall culture. Like you're here all day, like I'm here all day. So there was at least that bond, but we weren't friends.
Right. Okay. So that was a learning experience for owning the restaurant, right? So I'm gonna fast track that. So ended up opening. We had Great Northern, Eaton, and then South Park. So 3 restaurants got opened. I ended up selling it, coming out. Didn't really know what to do after that, right? I made a ton of money, spent it all.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, what's the next thing for me? And I remember as I owned the restaurant, I always
let's not gloss over that real quick. I just want to say one thing. You started a company and exited a company.
Yeah.
Before we even really started doing anything together. So that's just that's an important distinction because I'm trying to do that now with stuff. So
yeah.
So go ahead. I just wanted to you glossing over like important like
I know we can go deeper. I don't know.
No,
I don't know how
I don't even want to go deeper. I just think it's great for the story. People know in the future we might touch on that. But keep going.
Okay. So where am I? I sold the restaurants, bought a new house in Avon, or maybe it was Elyria. It was Elyria, and kids are in private school. I, didn't really. Oh, actually, here's another important piece of that puzzle. From the restaurant, a couple things happened. One, I was never a restaurant guy, not really a business guy, came out from the poker world. I felt I had to like earn my keep there. Now I've always been good at graphics, or I like to draw, or whatever that was. And I remember doing like the menu boards and getting into the logo and the business cards and all of that. So where I felt like I fell in love with marketing was the restaurant, because I felt like that was my first taste of it. And it's really only because I that was the only thing I felt like I could even do, right? Like, well, I don't know anything about operations or finance or any of that stuff. From the restaurant, after selling it, I actually got into the app, right? So during this My City 24/7. So My City 24/7, I basically took my money, bought houses, bought cars, and bought this bought an app because I was like, oh my gosh, apps are just coming out. iPhone is hot. I like marketing. So My City 24/7 app was then developed after I sold the restaurant. I was like, hey, this is kind of like my next thing. So with that, I did know what I was doing. Not that I didn't know, but there is a piece of that part of it.
Yeah.
So the app got me a lot of exposure. At this point, now I'm managing I went to India, China. I was on calls at 3 a.m. This is the experience part of why people cannot replicate me.
Yeah.
Right. I'm figuring out, know nothing about code, but was able to develop an app, get it approved in Android, Google Plays, iPhone, all of that. Became a developer. What all that looked like, published, da 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 da. I'll downplay this one too, right? So I'm trying to fast forward to you as quick as possible. I guess that's what I'm trying to do.
No, what's we're gonna do? We're gonna do a part 2.
All right, part 2.
Let's get to where we met and that experience, and then let's do part 2 when we officially. I'll tell you when I think we should do part 2 in real time.
Okay, fair enough.
But still fast track, but we can still go for like another 10 minutes,
All right, fair enough. All right, so where am I at? So the app. So the app allows me, I'm super successful with app. I end up getting 2 or 3 investors, I think it was 3 investors to come in with me on the app. So I've learned how to communicate with those type of people. I've learned how to what to do with their money and all. I mean, I screwed up a lot of things, but I was still able to get 3 investors. On top of that, I had a team of 20 salespeople out on the streets, and we had to do guerrilla marketing. And we had at one point, I want to say 350 customers, crazy stuff. I was offered 10 million. Go ahead.
The coffee shop that's in the city, in the office we used to have. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
There's still a My City sticker.
There's still a
yeah.
Listen, yes, you could go to Cleveland right now, and there's probably I could probably name 5 of them that I can go to, and the sticker is still there.
And I know other people who've seen them too. I was like, that was my dude's business from years ago. They still have the stickers in the window.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. You're talking over 10 years at this point.
Oh, it has to be even longer than. Oh yeah. No, it has to be longer. It's like 12. I've been. Yeah, it has to be like longer than 12 years, man.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it could be 13 or 14 at this point.
Yeah.
So all of that to say, I was successful there. The problem that happened with that was every time an update came from iPhone, Google, every time, even a small update, man, it was 10 grand, 10 grand, 10 grand, 10 grand.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't sustain it no more. I hated that.
Yeah.
I hated being in that world. I had developers on staff. I mean, it was just crazy. So let's just say that business failed. And now I'm at a point where I was like, hey, look, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. Like I've basically exited 2 companies. I've had success in both, really. And what do I do next? So I think that's when I decided, one, to go back to school to get deeper into marketing and graphics. Because at the time, that's what I thought. I thought graphics was marketing, right? I was like, oh, you just need pretty websites. You need pretty da-da-da-da-da. But now I want a part-time job.
Yeah.
So now is where we meet. I go to Apple because I've had a good relationship with them, not only from the restaurant, but the app. I would come in and be like, how do I use this thing to build the menu, build this, build that? And they were teaching me from creatives, the one-on-one, whatever they called it at the time. I had that. And that's where you come in.
All right. So let me say a couple of things to catch up real quick to this. So number one, just like at PacSun, I had left PacSun and went to Apple, but I used to see you come into Apple. So I remembered you from PacSun. You used to come in as a customer because I was already there when you came to Apple. I was already there. But just to go back, my path was music. So I'm gonna be really fast. I'm gonna be real quick. So yes, I had like an entrepreneurial mind in the sense where I knew that I wanted to work for myself. I come from an entrepreneurial family, but I was more trying to get into the entertainment industry. I first went to film school. I wanted to be a movie director, still entertainment. And then I wanted to go into music. And it all stemmed from the fact that I was just artistic. I was an artist. I could sculpt, I could draw, I can paint, I could do all that stuff. Like I come from more of the artists. The emotion, the feeling. I'm doing this because it makes me feel good rather than I need to make money. Right. And that's a lot of times why you have starving artists. It's because, man, the music got to sound a certain way. And the people are like, we need to put it out to make some money. It's like, it ain't ready yet. Right. I was one of those people. So the reason I'm working at mall jobs is because at the end of the day, I'm in a studio. Long story short, I went deep enough in the music industry to the point where we had record deal offers. And the reason I ended up at Apple and I left PacSun is because me and my group, we got offered a record deal for at Flo Rida's record label. Everyone knows Flo Rida, the artist. So we had a song that hit the radio, did really big, and it blew up in Miami, where he lives. He heard our song and he said, I want that group. Found out that we produced our own music, we wrote our own music, we recorded our own music, mixed and mastered our own music, and then also performed. We were producers and artists. So like Kanye and all these people who make their own music, we did everything. And so they were like, hey, if we sign these guys, they literally can do everything. Like it's like the best artists we can sign. We don't have to micromanage them or anything like that. We don't have to find producers for them. And the entertainment, just like the poker world for you, trying to make it in the music industry was like, by the time we got the opportunities, we were so burnt out just from the concept of trying to grind and go to this record label, see if they're gonna take us, and go to this meeting and try to get our music out there and doing all these shows all the time and performing and the ups and downs, where by the time we got offered the record deal, it's right in front of us. Like everything you've been working for is right here. And we turned the deal down. And there's a couple of reasons we turned the deal down. The first reason is at this point, it would have ruined my whole life. I had a wife and 2 little small daughters. I can tell that what you have to do to make it and what you have to do to continue to make it, I would have destroyed my family. So that was number 1. Number 2 is I realized that we didn't get the best deal we could have got because we didn't understand marketing. Meaning we were just natural artists. We weren't able to quantify our reach, our buzz. We didn't have like a social media strategy, which obviously like who was thinking about social media like regular artists weren't thinking about that concept back then. This is years ago, right? We went in there. They were like, "Hey, you guys are hot. What cities are you guys popular in?" Like, I was like, "We don't know. Like, you don't have no analytics, no data, no nothing." It's like, "Nah, we just good. We're just great artists, right?" So they're like, "Okay, well, there is a little bit of a risk. So you guys could have got this amount of money, but we're gonna go ahead and give you this amount of money." And when you split that a couple ways, and we had a production team. I mean, we were assigned to another like kind of little production deal that they would have got part of the money too. It just didn't make sense. And I had interviewed at Apple right before I went to Miami to spend this time with this to try to sign this deal, because they flew us out there and we spent time with them like to like work this out, and they were like very serious about trying to sign us and all this type of stuff. I didn't know if I got the job or not, and they called me while I was with Flowrider, say, "Hey man, we just want to let you know we're going to offer you the job at Apple." And that was one of the reasons that I decided, and the other people in my group decided. We all had our own different reasons, but my reason was, you know what? Let me just try this Apple thing, because I feel like they understand branding and marketing and stuff like that, and I think I might want to go this other route. And that kind of, I'm just trying to catch that part up to the part where it's like, now I'm at Apple, just an employee, and then I start seeing you come into Apple, not as an employee, but this period of your life where you're going back to school, you did My City and all that type of stuff. And I don't know if you get a job at Apple.
Yeah, I get a job at Apple.
And we became coworkers. That's where I think we should do the part 2. Because this is where the roller coaster starts, and this is the fun part of the story, because there's so much that happened from this moment. Because Apple has so many employees, like hundreds, and somehow me and you just found each other and just like never left.
I like it.
So
there was and funny enough, right? Like you said, I skimmed over some stuff, but there was so much to happen to get me to Apple, right? I could have took so many different routes.
Yeah.
And even when I was coming into Apple as a customer, I still didn't connect with you. I didn't even think you were. I didn't even know you worked at Apple. Truthfully, I didn't really know who you were.
It's like you don't focus. It's like like you buy a car, and then now you see it on the road all the time. It's like you're familiar with it. It was like that. It was like there was no need for you to remember who I was, because it's like, and at the time too, that was the gamble too, is Apple didn't hire me in as full time. I didn't have a college degree. It's all this different stuff that I had to like work my way up. And we'll talk about that later in the next time. But like, I was a gangster at Apple. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like I went through the gauntlet at Apple, and that taught me a lot. But we'll get into that. But yeah, I was a part-time employee. I went from trying to go get a record deal to now I'm working part-time hours, and I got a family to provide for. And the amount of hustle I had to have to quickly get promoted every time so that I can make more money. And there was a whole situation with there. So that time was like a special time in my life. And I think you were a big part of that for me. And I think that it's the cliffhanger right here.
There it is. Part 2.
Part 2.
Listen, the one person that stayed on live is probably my mother.
For real?
I don't know. But who would stay on listening to this crazy
You
mess?
still live. That person's still watching. Still see your eyeball. Unless you watching. Are you watching the two?
Yeah. I got my phone like, hey, we got somebody.
I know.
No, but I think this is good. I think at the end of the day, I think we have a lot to give.
Yeah.
And it's a disservice to keep it all ourselves.
Yeah, especially doing this one experience. I mean, we talked, it's been an hour, and I think we talked about a lot. And just imagine like 6 months of this.
Oh wow.
Let's do it, man. I'm ready, man. Let's do this, man.
All right, there it is.
This ain't gonna be. I don't want this to be like a. I want this to be a thing. I'm saying it right now. I want this to be a thing.
It is a thing. No, you don't want it to be. It is a thing.
Okay. All right.
It is a thing. At this point, I done went live, and we're committed. We're totally committed. All right. So, all right, cool. Well, this is it. We wrap it up. Part 2 coming up.
All right. Until next time.
See you.
Wait. Somebody sent a comment.
What did they say?
Oh, I didn't mean to. Oh, how do I do that? I didn't mean to show.
Oh, look at that! How cool is that? You can show the comment. Oh yeah, my god!
This is a spam comment though. But
I know. But how cool is that? Cool. Like, come ask questions.
Oh, you know what it is? It literally came from my Twitch because it has a Twitch logo. That's cool. All right, I'm glad that happened. Yeah.
Oh my!
I had it in full screen the whole time, so I didn't see it.
Look, you tell people come live.
Yeah,
we will answer questions live and put your question on the thing.
All right, let's do it. I'm with it. All right, I'm gonna have all my stuff ready to stream next time because it said we can do up to 8.
Okay, I like it. So, all right, and then get a background so we look cool too.
Yeah. All right,
man. Until next time.
All right, man. Peace.
See ya.